Justin Jefferson was the Offensive Player of the Year after a crazy third season in the pros. Jefferson has already proven that he is one of the best wide receivers in the league. He has been an All-Pro and made the Pro Bowl every year, and currently holds the NFL record for career receiving yards per game with 96.5. Jefferson is a star, and he's getting better every year. Justin Jefferson was absolutely dominant in 2022. He quite literally was the Vikings offense. His 128 receptions and 1,809 yards both led the league. He found the end zone 8 times and added a rushing touchdown too. Jefferson dominated in every way. He had over 100 yards 8 times. In week 14 versus the Lions, he had a career-high 223 yards. That kicked off a 3-game stretch where Jefferson recorded 479 yards and 2 touchdowns. In week 10, the Vikings visited the Bills in a huge game. He had 193 yards and he scored a touchdown. And he had one of the greatest catches in NFL history. Jefferson went up for a pass with one hand while falling backwards and wrestled the ball away from Cam Lewis. His arm sleeves and gloves from that game are actually on display in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Jefferson was named a first-team All-Pro for the first time and made his 3rd consecutive Pro Bowl. The Vikings drafted Justin Jefferson at 22 at the 2020 NFL Draft after his time at LSU. Jefferson didn't have a single catch his first year at LSU, but he was the Tigers' leading receiver in 2018 and then again in 2019 when he actually broke out and recorded over 1,500 yards and 18 touchdowns en route to a national championship alongside Joe Burrow. He declared for the draft where Minnesota took him. The pick for Jefferson came from the blockbuster trade that sent Stephon Diggs to the Bills. Jefferson was able to fill that wide receiver void immediately. He had a record-setting rookie season. His 1,400 receiving yards was an NFL record, but his college teammate Jamar Chase did break it the following year. Jefferson made the Pro Bowl and was named a second-team All-Pro as a rookie after he had 7 100-yard games, found the end zone 7 times, and caught 88 passes. Jefferson did not slow down one bit in 2021. He once again had 8 games with 100 yards and improved in almost every category with 108 catches for 1,616 yards and 10 touchdowns. He made the Pro Bowl again and was named second-team All-Pro, missing out on being first-team All-Pro by a single vote. The Vikings had a very successful 2022 regular season. Obviously, the postseason did not go as Minnesota had hoped, but a huge reason why the Vikings were there was Justin Jefferson. The Vikings won the NFC North, and Kirk Cousins had an impressive season while throwing for 4,500 yards and 29 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. The Vikings did not have a receiver have even half the receiving yards of Jefferson. Adam Thielen was the closest to Jefferson with 716 yards, and KJ Osborne had 650. Dalvin Cook did have a big role in the Minnesota offense. He had nearly 1,200 yards and was good on the ground, but Jefferson was the true lethal weapon defenses had to game plan for, and it usually didn't matter. Jefferson often had his way regardless of how defenses schemed it up, but there were 2 specific games when he was shut down. In week 3, Detroit shut down Jefferson. Jeff Okudah performed well in man coverage, and the Lions gave Okudah plenty of safety help over the top. Jefferson only had 14 yards. The only other game he was stopped was in week 17 when he had a single catch for 15 yards versus Green Bay. Jair Alexander talked a lot of trash ahead of the game, and he backed it up big time. There have been instances of Justin Jefferson being shut down, but they don't happen often. and that's why he won Offensive Player of the Year. Justin Jefferson was one of 4 Offensive Player of the Year finalists: Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, and Tyreek Hill, the others. Recently, the award has essentially just gone to the most valuable player outside of the quarterback position. Cooper Kupp and Derrick Henry both made very good cases for MVP in the last 2 years, but both lost to Aaron Rodgers, more or less because of his value of a quarterback, and were named Offensive Players of the Year. Lamar Jackson won 2019 MVP, while Michael Thomas was named Offensive Player of the Year. However, Patrick Mahomes did win both MVP and Offensive Player of the Year in 2018. He did win his second MVP this season, but of course lost Offensive Player of the Year to Justin Jefferson. Mahomes passed for 5,250 yards and 41 touchdowns to 12 interceptions. He was good, but according to voters, it wasn't enough to win Offensive Player of the Year too. Now, Jalen Hurts didn't stand much of a chance to win Offensive Player of the Year if he wasn't even viewed ahead of Patrick Mahomes, but he surely was in consideration after a good season with 3,700 yards and 12 touchdowns to only 9 interceptions, plus 760 yards and 13 touchdowns on the ground. Tyreek Hill did likely have a shot at Offensive Player of the Year before Tua Tagovailoa suffered a string of concussions and played poor late in the season. Hill simply was the Dolphins' offense. He had 1,710 yards and 7 touchdowns receiving. He was good, but statistically, he wasn't better than Jefferson, and that's why Justin Jefferson won Offensive Player of the Year. Justin Jefferson absolutely deserved Offensive Player of the Year. And I understand that no wide receiver is really going to win MVP in this day and age, and I do think that's fair. You can't really make the argument that Justin Jefferson is more valuable than someone like Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen, who they are all completely carrying an offense and running that offense. Despite that, Jefferson was still incredible, and the career he's having so far is absolutely amazing. Looking back at that Stephon Diggs trade for Justin Jefferson, essentially the pick to take Justin Jefferson, that looks like one of the most fair trades in NFL history. The Bills got the veteran, really good stud receiver that they wanted, and the Vikings got that pick back, and they used that pick the correct way and took a good guy at the draft in Justin Jefferson. I do think what Justin Jefferson accomplished this season has been a bit overlooked and just not talked about enough, and that probably is because what Cooper Kupp accomplished last season. Undeniably, Cooper Kupp just statistically was much better than Justin Jefferson his last season compared to Jefferson this season. I would argue that Jefferson was still a bigger part of the Vikings offense and was also just overall more talented, and that's not a very crazy take. I think everybody pretty much agrees and for the most part knows that Justin Jefferson is maybe the most talented receiver in the league. If not, he's very high up there, top 3 or top 5. I think as long as Justin Jefferson is in the league, the Minnesota Vikings offense is going to look pretty good. And I think it's pretty decent on paper. Kirk Cousins, I think, is a fine quarterback, and having a wide receiver like Justin Jefferson is going to make him look pretty good. Adam Thielen being a number 2, I think some people forget that there was a very good point in time where Adam Thielen was him. He was that dude, and he was one of the best wide receivers in the league. And now he's the number 2 because Justin Jefferson is that good. The Vikings did disappoint in the postseason, but they had a good regular season, and I think if they can fix up that defense, Minnesota is going to be really good in the coming years. One of the biggest reasons for that is Justin Jefferson.